Have you spoken to him directly, to President Xi?
I don't want to say that. It's just not appropriate.
But you're speaking. Sorry. Has he called you directly, President Xi, or reached out to try to facilitate a conversation?
Well, you'd think it was pretty obvious that he has, but we will talk about that soon. It's not that important because, honestly, we're going to have a deal. I believe we're going to have a deal with China. And if we don't, we're going to have a deal anyway because we're going to set a certain target, and that's going to be it.
So you hear it there, President Trump touting progress in China trade talks. Trump says most of his tariff deals could be reached within the next month or so. So could this mean finally an end to the back and forth with Beijing? Grady Trimble from Fox Business is live at the White House with the latest on this. Hi, Grady.
Hey, Bill, if President Trump gets his way, some of these deals could be closed sooner than some people might think. He says in the next 3 to 4 weeks. You heard him there. He's even optimistic about a potential agreement with China coming down the pike in the not too distant future. As you heard, he wouldn't say whether he's been speaking directly with President Xi of China, but he says he's been speaking with top officials in Beijing, which he views as one and the same. We do know he met yesterday with the Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni. He says that meeting was fantastic and thinks the U.S. can reach a broader trade agreement with the European Union before the 90-day pause on reciprocal tariffs expires.
Oh, there'll be a trade deal, 100%. Oh, well, you think there won't be? Of course there'll be a trade deal. Very much. They want to make one very much, and we're going to make a trade deal. I fully expect it, but it'll be a fair deal.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who's helping lead trade negotiations, says the U.S. is prioritizing talks with countries that have the largest economies.
We've got a process in place. We're working on the big 15 economies first. We had a fantastic meeting with Japan yesterday. I believe there have been calls with the EU already. And then we have South Korea coming in next week. And I believe India is also talking, or that's moving very quickly.
So no trade deals to announce just yet, but the president says that the White House and Ukraine are getting closer to a minerals deal. Kind of blew up when Zelensky visited the White House not long ago, but now it looks like they might have pen to paper potentially by next Thursday. Bill?
And the stock market would certainly appreciate any of these coming deals. Grady Trimble live at the White House for us. Grady, thanks.
How about we bring in a friend and Fox News contributor, Michael Pillsbury. He's a Heritage Foundation Senior Fellow for China Strategy. This headline caught our attention. This is the Wall Street Journal. U.S. plans to use tariff negotiations to isolate China. But China's not waiting. President Xi has been out trying to negotiate to see if they can figure out a way to isolate the United States.
Well, I think that's right. In many ways, to use words that President Trump has used, what's at stake here is sort of the deal of the century. By far, a lot of the world's global growth rate, as they call it, depends on both the U.S. and China having a successful trade relationship. Everybody sort of knows by now, and the Chinese sometimes admit it, they've been ripping us off for at least 30 years. So what I was focused on, to answer your question, Dana, is the way President Trump yesterday defined two different possible deals. Either one would reduce the uncertainty of Wall Street and the Dow Jones average.
Michael, could I jump in and play that for everyone and then get you to react to him? So this is President Trump in his own words. Okay, listen here.
Well, at a certain point, I don't want them to go higher because at a certain point, you make it where people don't buy. So I may not want to go higher, or I may not want to even go up to that level. I may want to go to less because, you know, you want people to buy. And at a certain point, people aren't going to buy. And it's actually up to 145% because you have the 20.
Okay, so I think that's what you were getting at.
Yes, he could either stick with a sort of a permanent average tariff of 150% on all the Chinese products coming into America, which will really decrease, I think, their overall sales, hurt their economy. So China spies. They have a massive espionage service. We really admire some of the ruthless things they do around the world, the MSS. The MSS now is targeted at finding out what exactly is this number that Mr. Trump would settle for. Is it 200%, 100%? One thing they're doing also, Dana, they're watching the deals that Scott is making with each other country. And they want to see what is the concession they'd have to make the same kind of deal. They don't want to be first. They want to wait for, like, say, the first 5 or 10 countries and then see what that deal is and maybe take it. President Trump seems to be saying either way, I'm either going to punish you with really hard tariffs. You wish you'd made a deal, or we're going to make a deal once we agree on the numbers. The other problem on the side, you also know very well, Dana, is what to do with the 2020 agreement, which the Chinese largely did not honor. Some things they did honor. So that's one of President Trump's executive orders. He wants his team to tell him exactly what should we try to continue and enforce from our agreement 5 years ago, and what should we just forget. So these are really tough talks.
They are.
The president wants to be very secretive about it. You notice he's very secretive. But there's a huge amount at stake.
He holds his cards close to his chest. I did want to get a bigger picture comment from you about this. The CIA director had an internal memo. This is John Ratcliffe. He said this: for CIA to continue successfully defending our nation, we will build upon our strong foundation and pursue with laser-like focus the near-term priorities for CIA that our president and our country demand. China sits at the very top of that list because there is tariffs, and then there's also a lot of the other things like Taiwan, the South China Sea, and on and on.
It's wonderful news because it means the new CIA director is recognizing shortcomings in the past, and he's really telegraphing to the CIA team, we've got to help President Trump more on understanding how China thinks, what China's moves are. I'll give you an example, Dana. Chinese keep offering to help us with the Ukrainian peace plan. But if that is insincere or just a trick, the president needs to be told the Chinese won't help you in the Ukraine. If they will help us, then we need to meet with them and discuss what they could do to help put pressure on Russia and Putin. So you see some of the issues CIA could really help with if they took China more seriously. I wish they would.
Michael Pillsbury, if anybody watching wants to learn more, Michael Pillsbury's book is the one to read. Thank you, sir, and happy Easter.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you very much.
Take care.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart.